Okay, in this video, I get to show you my favorite toy that I got to buy. That's more for opinion. Yeah. So, I have this bearing puller, and it's a clamshell style. And this brand is from Yukon gear. You slip this big billet shaft into the diff, so that puts all the pressure on the case, and then you'll take the two halves that have the right size. These are wider than the insides, so we'll take the wider sides and we'll stick those on there, and then what we'll do is, as it pulls this up, it pushes against this shaft, so it pushes this down. This isn't going anywhere because it's on the case, and then it grabs these clamshells and pulls up, and as it's pulling up, it's going to pull this bearing off the case, because we only have to move it an inch, and then it's going to come right off. What this does is it keeps you from ruining your bearings, because if you use a clamshell style, or this is the clamshell style. If you use a different style, so everything's nice and tight. I could probably just wrench this off here. I'm just trying to turn it. It's getting, getting tight. So this, let me see if I can get you a little bit more room here. So you put the shaft that's inside here on first. Put your clamshell around it, or this on, then around the clamshell. As this is driven down against that shaft that's in here, this is designed to take the load, and what it does is it pushes this down and then this comes up. So you're essentially kind of like using a press. You'll put your press down and push it off the diff, and you'll use those clamshell style knife edge bearing holders. I'm not sure that's the right terminology, but it's a bearing, puller. You'll stick that around there, and then you could damage your bearings as they come off. This thing gives you full clamshell on the bearing, so essentially the bearing and the race all come off as one, and you don't damage your the bearing. So that about wraps this up. I just wanted to share with you that this is one tool I wouldn't install gears without. It's great if you put your bearings on and you have to reseat the bearings and then put your spacers in between the bearing and the case, or in the sense of the differential. The bearings actually in some diffs go between the diff here and then the bearing, so you have to remove them several times. That is true with many of the older trucks. The newer Jeep JLs and JT trucks have two different bearing sizes in the Dana 44 that allow them to save weight. They're trying to save gas, save mileage on the weight. But the smaller bearing on these Yukon gear pullers actually does not fit any of the clamshells. So So I'm gonna have to reach out to them and find out if they make a clamshell for the Jeep, the newer Jeeps, because the bigger clamshell fits the larger side of the bearing with the Temkin. So this bearing will not pull off with any clamshell I have with the Yukon bearing puller. So just word to the wise. But you get the idea now. And that is another tool besides the case spreader that I've done a review on, that I would not do gears without that thing. So it's pretty nice. It's kind of an extra for me. I really don't need it on a Jeep JL or JT. So I would not say that as a must have, but it certainly is going to be useful if you do a lot of gears and you help your Jeep clubs and stuff like that. So that is a review of the Yukon gear puller, and that is 2020, and as of right now those pullers do not have the correct clamshell for a JL JT diff. Thank you guys for watching. Click like and subscribe, and if you're a real gearhead, that's really where my heart is at. I love modifying Jeeps and putting on light bars and winches and all that stuff, but this is where the real test of your patience and the amount of work you're willing to do to get yourself some ARB lockers or do your own gears, to check that box for, you know, how much do you really like to modify your Jeep. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.